33. And this is NDL Game Day. Sirens blare through the tunnel walls. Pat's tired, we're built for brawls. Trash talk fades, it's the hits that speak. This ain't drills, this is Game Day live. Line it up, we don't crack, we clash. Bats collide and the fireworks flash. From the south to the frozen zone, it's Game Day now and we're bringing it home. Hosted by the crew, oh, season 33. This is NDL Game Day.
What's going on, everybody? This is Lick here on College Game Day. I'm here with Pat, also known as Paxi, Hubbard, and Penguin here. How are you guys doing today?
Enjoying some college football. Probably an exciting ending coming up here in about 7 seconds. Happy to be here.
Yeah, we're going to get some real-time reaction, I guess, to what's going to happen.
And cheers to anyone who's having an adult bevy.
That's the wrong show, Pat. Wrong show. That was the other night.
Oh.
Yeah, Pat's talking about the
man.
Tennessee-Georgia game right now, tied up at 38-38 in real life. 7 seconds left. Let me see. I'm going to see if I can try to pull this up on the stream. I may not be able to. I don't think it's going to let me pull the YouTube in here. We'll give you a play-by-play. Penguin, how are you doing today?
I'm doing pretty well. Had a pretty busy Saturday. You know, did laundry, cooked up some goat chops and pork chops. It's a good day.
I just hope my man
Clemson
makes it
lose
through the end of this
game.
game.
Always makes me smile.
That was a great game.
It was.
Yeah, and I think people were shocked by. I mean, there were some people shocked by that, but man, if you've watched Georgia Tech at all the last couple of years, that was not a surprise. That's a really good football team again.
Yeah, really good. And the spread dropped like 4.5 points during the week, like quickly. You know, it's one of those home dog situations.
Haynes King, man, he's legit.
He's tough.
Yeah.
East Texas boy, right down the road from you, actually.
Yeah, I think he started off at A&M.
Yep. Went there and that didn't work out. Luckily for Haynes King, who nobody wants to be there.
Anybody watch Game Day?
It's a strange, weird place.
Did you guys watch Game Day with him this morning?
So I did. What an interview, right?
Right. He did. So they asked him a question. If you guys didn't see it, they asked Haynes. He's warming up with a mic, and he's warming up, and they ask him basically like, "Hey, how did you get taught about your toughness and your grit? Like, why are you so tough and gritty?" And he says, "Well, when I was a kid, my dad always told me how bad I sucked and to quit being a baby," which I thought was absolutely hilarious.
So his dad is a legendary East Texas high school coach, really Texas coach in general, John King, and actually Coach King just got diagnosed with mouth cancer last month, and so he's battling through that and still trying to coach this season. So even for all that, I don't think that's not something that Haynes has talked about in public, but just knowing that's going on too, it's even more special to see him have the success he's having.
Yeah, it was good. It was a good interview with him too. He was very confident and he was really funny. So do you think he misses this?
No, I think it's going to go right down the middle.
He's going to make it, but this kid looks like he's 12.
Definitely doesn't look old enough to be kicking.
Yikes.
We're all on a little bit different.
Closer.
Oh, no.
Closer.
Oh, no. And they have all three timeouts, and
Very
they weren't,
poorly done there.
weren't trying to score. I mean,
you gotta work harder to get closer. You do.
100%.
I mean, when you know you have that,
Yeah.
They said that kid had never had a fourth quarter or game tying or game winning field goal
He
attempt
looks
ever.
12.
Golly.
As someone who grew up as a Seminoles fan in the 80s and 90s, I will never trust a kicker as long as I live.
Yeah,
so,
or the Buffalo
even if
Bills.
we're talking, ooh, boy. Yeah.
Oh.
Yep.
Poor Joey Aguilar, man. Like, come on, coach. We got to score.
The dude off of Heupel's right shoulder. His reaction. Oh, boy.
That's good. That's good.
Oh, man.
Heupel's now mad. He was about to go get a double cheeseburger. Now he's going to wait a little bit longer.
Man, who does
Now
it
he's gonna
benefit
coach
right
hungry.
now? Who does it benefit to be in overtime?
Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a mental shot in the gut right there.
Yeah, and so now if you're Heupel, what do you do when you have to line up for another field goal? Like that's got to play into your mind, right?
You no more kicking, no more. Tell that kid to head to the showers.
Yeah, that's terrible.
Yeah.
Oh man,
that was not handled well.
Well, anyway.
Yeah. Back to the NDL. At least now everybody that's.
Oh, sorry, we got a show here. Yeah. Okay,
right. Yep. Yeah, and I can't get it won't let me pull YouTube from the computer up to OBS. I'm sure that's some restriction from YouTube itself. And so we'll just have to give you updates if you're going to watch us instead, which sounds way more fun than watching the Tennessee Volunteers play football.
There'll be a lot less missed kicks. That's for sure. Yeah.
Maybe. Never know what's going to happen around here.
Yeah, right.
Fair enough.
So we got a lot of stuff to talk about on the show today. Obviously, we'll talk about the polls like we always do. The college football playoff first reveal is going to be next week. They meet tonight or tomorrow night. And so we'll have our first season 33, our first reveal of the college football playoff and kind of how that'll shake out. We know from being on here and critiquing the committee, it's usually the first one. We have lots to say. It always has kind of worked itself out. Things have always changed. And so don't take offense if you're on the committee and you hear us back talking about how we think you guys aren't very smart. Is usually it's the other way around. But no, we got a lot of things to talk about.
Former committee members in here. We know what it's like.
Well, we do. Yes, we do. And then we'll kind of talk about the members here, Pat and Penguin and Hubbard, all have their top 12 and what they would, if the season ended today, what they think their top 12 would be for the college football playoff. And then obviously we'll get into the pick'ems. We got a huge game this week in the SEC as well as the NDL. We have number 3 LSU facing off against number 2 Alabama, with Alabama being the home team. Really big. Alabama's been a game of the week a couple times. He took care of business against Tennessee, which most of us picked. I think all of us picked Alabama to win that matchup, and that was an absolute butt whooping. And so we got a lot of games to talk about, a lot of ACC games, and then we'll talk about Pat and his big game against Baylor. His big game against Utah, trying to kind of play spoiler and stuff like that. And maybe we'll ask some questions about Pat's game against Oklahoma State. If you had a chance to watch that, it was a lot of fun. Big shootout. So I guess we'll kind of just jump into the top 25. I know you guys had a chance to take a look at the top 25 and how that kind of turned out here. Did you see anything that was absolutely crazy in the top 25? I mean, I ask that every time. Do you think Maryland was high enough? They broke into the top 25 this week. Do you think they were high enough, or are they too high?
I don't think they're nearly high enough. I threw them in my poll because this week with enough happened that I kind of reset. I threw them in all the way at number 10. Now I know that's higher than most people can put them, but I mean, given what they've done, and if you've actually watched some of the games there, sitting there with one loss this slate, I think he's deserved to get some good placement at the moment.
Yeah, I had him right about where he's ranked. I don't know what the math. The big win is Washington. I think, wasn't he at Washington? You have to remind me, but that's a tough place to play. I'm pretty sure it's a top 25 stadium in the game. So when you're a team like Maryland with a freshman quarterback, like, that's an impressive win against a veteran coach. So he definitely belongs to be, right there in the 20 to 25 range, I think.
Yeah, I had him at 22 also. I thought it was I had him just about where he was. The one for me that kind of sticks out is UConn. Where do you place UConn? I actually had them at 24 and they're 21 in the polls. I think they're 8-0 now. I think they were 7-0 when I put them in my rankings or whatever, but that's kind of one to watch, right? Because where do they fit if they can run the table here? And without looking at their schedule, I don't know what they have left, but if they end up 12-0, where do you put them?
Does the 12-0 UConn steal the what is it, the group of 5 bid, or are they
No,
eligible for that? I actually don't know.
no, yeah.
No,
So the group of 5 bid, same with like the Pac-12. They're not a group of 5 bid because they're independents this year, and they don't qualify. So they would actually steal a bid from you would consider one of the Power 4 conferences is where they would
would
steal a
they?
bid.
That's the question.
No,
Yeah,
no.
absolutely not. So
Yeah.
I'm looking at UConn's schedule right now. And obviously, if they win against NC State and NC State somehow plays in their conference championship and was to play really well or something, that's where UConn could really have a leg to stand on. They do play NC State at NC State, but that's their only ranked opponent, and the rest of their opponents they play are subpar teams. He's taking care of business, though. We've talked about that in the past. Is you just got to win, but his strength of schedule is 93rd in the league out of 135 teams. So,
How much does that calculate the NC State game in yet, though? Or will that change after
I
that?
think the strength of schedule is teams played. I do believe
Right,
his
okay.
opponents' records are 23 and 47 right now.
So at least it's still going to be bad then, in other words.
Yeah,
Okay.
even if he wins that game, it's still going to be a really bad strength of schedule. But again, he's really going to be dependent upon how NC State kind of finishes the season here.
Yeah. So am I understanding what you're insinuating is that 12-0 UConn you leave out in favor of a third or fourth place team from, like, say, the SEC or Big Ten that has 3 losses?
Well, here's the teams it comes down to. Thing one, it's going to be Tennessee, Duke, Iowa State would be the 3, right? And would
Not
you put
necessarily.
Connecticut in there?
Not
Well,
necessarily, because we don't know what's going to happen with them.
but as it sits here right now, right? I mean, we're kind of talking about that range of teams: NC State,
Mhm.
Tennessee, Duke, Iowa State. Are you willing to put them in over any of those? And I don't think you can. Honestly, even with 3 losses, I don't think you can.
So I think
Well,
that
I mean, yeah.
I think
There is
UConn.
zero argument that UConn would ever take a bid. You guys can't be being serious right now, right?
Well,
There's
Pat,
no way he would take well,
I think the only way he could take a bid though is from the ACC. That's where I think he could only take a bid from would be the ACC. And that's if he beats NC State and NC State wins out. NC State doesn't have a conference loss. NC State could go play in the conference championship.
wouldn't give him one.
And so I think that's the only way that.
No.
Okay.
By the way, they're kicking it again, Tennessee.
I just the schedule. Look, this is one of those special circumstances. The coach plays the same guys every year, which is he says his reasons for it, and I don't think he really wants to play in the playoffs. It's a special circumstance. This is my opinion. I don't think I would ever put him over a Power 4 team ever because of he's explained what he does here in the league, and I just think that's a special circumstance. Now I don't know if the playoff committee would ever take that into consideration. But you guys, I just don't think UConn deserves to even be in over a 3-loss SEC team. There's no way.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to
It's just my
compete.
opinion.
Yeah, the only conference I would say he has a shot at taking a bid from would be the ACC. If he's got to win out though. Obviously, a loss
Right.
completely takes him out of any contention. But he's got to have. I mean, NC State still plays Miami. There's still a lot of games. If he beats NC State, NC State loses 4 games, and it's really a moot point, anyways.
Yeah.
And so, what about Missouri State? Do you think that they should move up more, or do you think they're right around where they should be? We had a couple teams lose in front of him, so
I'd say I think they're a little bit underrated. Not by much, but maybe by a spot or two. I think they deserve to be 15-ish.
Yeah, I've got him at 19 in my poll. Like I've said before, I think the other 18 owners in front of him could probably beat them. I don't know. I must have been a little high when I made my poll because somehow Duke is 20th in here. Maybe I forgot to put him higher. Then I just figured it out because I definitely think Duke would beat him. But Missouri State right around 19, and I think all the guys ahead of him could beat him. But I think he's jumped up into that top 20. I mean, you gotta respect the game so far.
Yeah, I think as of now, he's the best G5. He should be the highest ranked. Protect him, protect him in that situation unless he loses, right? I had him 21st. I actually had Tech, who, welcome back to the poll, by the way. I had Tech ahead of him at 20. And so he should be the best one. Like I said last week, Akron, I don't even know why we're still in there with Akron at this point. There's some teams that are Power 5 teams, Power 4 teams that probably should be in there ahead of Akron. I actually had Oklahoma ahead of Akron, as well as I had Michigan State as well ahead of Akron at this point. I just don't think Akron. I don't even think they'll be the best. I don't even think they'll be the best one in the MAC when it's all said and done.
So teams still sitting at 8-1. You don't even think's worthy of being in the top 25 right now?
It's how do you look at it, right? Is it most deserving or is it best team, right? Is it if he played Oklahoma today?
Most deserving is a lie, just like a quality loss.
I agree. So if he plays Oklahoma, if Akron and Oklahoma play tonight, who wins?
That's not the question, though. This isn't a poll based off who's matched up on a new. I mean, you're talking about how Josh Payton is his power index there.
Well, what I'm
not
saying is
how
when
a poll is voted.
I'm
voting based off what has happened, not what might happen.
It's fair. I'm looking at it from a standpoint of I'm down to the last 4 or 5, and who knows anyway at this point. Like literally, there's probably 15 teams you could put in there, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like Oklahoma. I wish Oklahoma had played more games. That would make it a lot easier, in my opinion.
I think that's why people would keep him out. That's why it's interesting the way people vote. Like USC, aren't they what? I'm not sure his record, but I actually have been putting him pretty low because the games played are really not there. And Oklahoma, it's funny we're talking about Akron and Oklahoma. I have Oklahoma at 25 and Akron at 24 in my top 25.
Yeah.
Like that's because, like you said, and I could have replaced them with 10 other teams. It was this poll was weird because we still have a lot of undefeated teams left. So it like really pushes stuff down.
Yeah. The games played definitely comes in as a factor for me here. I left Oklahoma out. And that was simply because they haven't played very many games. And that made an easy decision, at least on my part, to give a team like Akron a spot.
The hard part is you got to be careful not to use that argument at the wrong time because now we're talking about what about LSU who's only played 5 games, right? So it's kind of a double-edged sword there, right? Like we know who LSU is. We know he's one of the best guys. But if he's only played 5 games, Utah's played 8. Why do we not have Utah above LSU at this point? So I'm not arguing with you. Like I think people just look at it differently. But that's why that's why I still have Alabama at 2 because even if LSU beats Alabama this week, and we'll get to our picks in a minute, Alabama has done it 8 times and LSU's done it 5 times. And I think there's something to be said for that. I had Utah at 5, by the way, because of that same reason. I think that they've just won 8 games. I think they should be there.
I'll admit I'm judging LSU a little bit differently because they're defending champs. That is a factor in there of what they've done before.
So Pat, I got a question for you. I just kind of want to. We're going to go into the Big Ten here, okay? I want you. I don't know if you've looked at Penn State's schedule and their wins and losses and everything like that. Do you think Penn State is deserving of a number 3 ranking this season?
What do you mean a number 3 ranking? Like
a number 13 ranking? 13, not 3. Sorry, number 13 ranking. Good. And so their losses, just so that people that aren't looking online. Funny. Go ahead.
No. So I've it's one of those things where he's beat the 6 guys that he needed to, and then in the 2 big games he got absolutely dominated. Like if you watched it from start to finish. So he's a tricky one. Because that 6-2 looks nice, but when you dive in, you've got a 34-0 loss to Ohio State. It was never a game from the beginning. And then you have a loss to Oregon, 35-3. I mean, yeah, I don't know. I ranked him 17th in my poll. So
because he scored 3 points in his 2 losses against top 5 ranked teams. 3 points.
Yep. Yeah.
Now,
not good.
Could you imagine in real life if that happened? In real life, if Penn State played two top-ranked teams, which they do if they only scored 3 points in both of those games combined and got ran out of
Yeah.
the house. I mean, could
Yeah.
you imagine their fan base?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jordan Chuck's at James Franklin's house.
So when you really think about it like this, and this is why it is important, I think, sometimes for the CFP committee members to at least maybe peek at a game here and there, is those are going to be two playoff teams, Oregon and Ohio State. So we're trying to have the best 12 teams play, right? So
Yep.
at this point, you shouldn't have Penn State anywhere near the top 12 because if
Nope.
that's how they're going to compete on the field against a team with probably a first round bye, we shouldn't be considering him at this point.
Correction.
So-
correct. I mean, that should be the driving force of the college football playoff committee when Penn State's resume is brought. Let's say they win out, they beat Indiana, Michigan, Nebraska. The Michigan State game will be a good game. That'll be a good game. Michigan State's coming on. CG is having a great season there. But if for whatever reason Penn State wins out, that would probably be their only quality win on their schedule. Would be a unranked Michigan State team. And then, like you said, Pat, gets to play two of the better coaches in the league, two of the better teams, and absolutely was not competitive at all, not even from the start. And so I just can't imagine you would put him in over another coach to give them a shot. Like it just
So
Yeah.
here's what's funny. I actually have Penn State right around where they're ranked, right around that 13th spot. But here's why. I also believe that even if they win out, I don't think they can get in the top 12. I think as of right now, they're like, yeah, they're 6-2, has played well at times, except for those two games, right? But I think it's a matter of two of who's behind them. USC, I have right behind them, haven't played a lot of games. I have Miami right behind them, haven't played a lot of games. I have Tim, I have you right behind them, just strength of schedule, right? So there's all kind of flaws in all these teams. I really think, I think once you get past 12 or 13 teams, it's a crapshoot. But for a bunch, they each have their own warts, so to speak. And his is the fact he's not going to have a good win, and his is that in those two games he got blasted, right? And if USC and Miami will play their games, I don't think he's above them at all. I don't think there's any way, truthfully. So it's just kind of a man. It's people just play your games when you're supposed to play them.
yeah,
That would help. That really would help.
They were just a big outlier team, and Pat hit on the points that I was kind of hoping someone would hit on is just not being very competitive in the games where we know those coaches are going to play in the playoff. And at what point do you say, hey, you had your shot during the regular season, you don't need one in the playoffs?
Yeah.
I think
That's
it's
the way I look at it.
Yep. And you're going to see some of that shake out in the ACC as well. The ACC with 5 ranked teams right now, with 3 sitting in the top 12, with Duke, NC State, and Clemson. Obviously, some of them are set to play each other. We have some big ACC matchups and that we'll be picking this week as well. And it'll be fun. It'll be fun to talk about the different teams. And so, do you see a team in the top 25? Any of you that got snubbed? A team that should be in the top 25 that is not? I know someone hit on Akron being in there and probably shouldn't have. But do you see a team that isn't in the top 25 that should be?
And Michigan State should be in the top 25.
That's the one I have too. That's the one I think should be there.
Yeah. I voted him like 22nd, 23rd, something like that. But I definitely think he should be in there ahead of Akron.
What about you, Penguin?
I think that's a fair. I think it's a fair point. He was definitely on the left just on the cutting room floor when I did my top 25. It came down to, I mean, frankly, in the end, when I was looking at their end, both Akron, Oklahoma, Penn State, and Michigan State were teams I was all debating on there. And in the end, if I had to be honest, I think it comes down to rewarding Akron for the number of games they've played a little bit. I felt they deserved it a little bit for that. I know Michigan State also qualifies, but it's not a perfect poll. I mean, yeah, they're definitely from, as you guys said, from like 13, 14 down. There's not much of a gap from there to the team I would list, say 30th if I was going there. It's all pretty jumbled together at the moment.
Yeah, and it's always tough too because when you start pulling up the mid-major teams to see which one deserve to be in and out, we still have several teams with a lot of games to be played, so it's really tough to gauge people's schedule when some of these coaches only have one or between 3 to 5 games played total. It doesn't give you a large sample size when you're trying to compare the resumes of the teams. And then and so I'm with you guys there. It'll be fun to see how it shakes out. A lot of us conference commissioners were in our team's scheduling threads, and believe it or not, a lot of the teams that don't have games played are actually actively trying to schedule games in the chat. It's just there's a lot of team sports going on, football, traveling, people are on vacations and stuff. And so it should be pretty exciting when we start getting, a weekend with, 10 to 15 games played can change the landscape of this top 25 as well as the college football playoff. And so we'll jump into the topic of the college football playoff here. I'll just start. I'm going to start with Penguin first because he's up in the left-hand side of the screen. Penguin, I just want you to name your top 12 that you have for your college football playoff, including that mid-major team that does get an automatic qualifying bid.
All right. My top 12, if I was picking them today, got LSU, Texas, Alabama, Ohio State, Oregon, Utah, Notre Dame, Clemson, NC State, Duke, Iowa State, and Missouri State.
Okay. So, Hubbard, how different from your list is that?
Yeah, the order's a little different. I go Texas, Alabama, LSU, Ohio State, Oregon, Utah, Clemson, Notre Dame, NC State, Tennessee. I have Duke at 11, Missouri State at 12. I know we were talking amongst ourselves about Tennessee, Iowa State, Duke, and how that goes. I think once again, it's the one thing, and Penguin would admit this. The one thing that sticks out for him is getting 35 by Duke. That sticks out, and that's going to be something that you're going to remember, right? And so it's kind of the same argument we had for Penn State a minute ago. Like when there's 3 teams or 4 teams there at the end, and one of those teams played the other one and got beat by 35. That's my difference. That's what makes it different for me right now. But there's still a lot to be played because the one thing talking about the polls and this that makes it funky is that ACC little love triangle they have with Duke, NC State, Notre Dame, right? Like Duke, NC State beat Notre Dame beat Duke, or whatever it is. There's a little triangle there that's really kind of throwing everything off as to who beat who. And realistically, I think the only team that I didn't list is Iowa State. I really think there's only 12 teams for those 11 spots. Now, somebody like Pat, for example, Baylor could find his way in the championship game and win it. Louisville and Miami could find their way in that championship game and they could win it, and they could possibly get there. But I'm just not sure there's anybody else. I think there's probably 12 spots or 12 teams for 11. I have Missouri State also, and I think if they go undefeated, it's them. After that, I think it's whoever wins the AAC because Jokers is going to start playing games at some point, and if he does well, or I've been high on East Carolina for a couple of weeks now. I think they're a team that 5-1 now. I think either one of those two, and even potentially Kane gets in over Middle Tennessee if they were to win, because Weasel and Jose, you would think, are going to play each other again in that conference championship game in Conference USA. And then the MAC depends on what happens there. So, but I think we're pretty set on the number of teams, with the exception of 1 or 2 potentially.
What about you, Pat? How much different is your list than theirs?
The top part, like I go Texas, LSU, Bama, Oregon, Ohio State. The reason I have Oregon ahead of Ohio State is go ahead and look at those stats of the Oregon defense. Playing unreal defense, unbelievable defense for this season. And then Utah, then Clemson, NC State, Notre Dame, Duke, Iowa State, Missouri State. When you really think about this stuff, if you're not going to be a top 4 seed, or even if you're going to be one of the teams that gets a bye, you almost want to be the 5 seed sometimes because you're going to play Missouri State at home. You know what I mean? So it's not so bad to even be the 5th seed. Like it's going to be it's a game. You still got to play, but it's, you're talking about a 65 overall team going into the shoe. Like to me, it's an advantage. So having that 5 seed is huge.
And you guys may know the answer to this. Are we changing our rules to real life
Yeah.
where it's not just the 4? Okay, yeah. So who knows? We could have 3 SEC teams at the top anyway, and then it's a conference champion that Jose's got to go play. So good luck with that, buddy.
Yeah, exactly. He's going to be the 12th team no matter what, right?
Right.
Would we argue that? Will he ever get up? No, he'll never get above the 12th team. So getting that 5 spot, because the first 4 teams get by, so you're going to get that 5-12 game. So you're almost kind of hoping that maybe you have a good matchup in the second round, because I don't want to say it's a bye, right? That's totally putting someone down that's a baller. but you get what I'm saying. Like, I would love to be in Knoxville hosting Missouri State for my first round playoff game. I don't know.
So you
Seems like a
guys,
win-win situation.
you guys bring up the college football playoff. You guys talking about Missouri State, winning, taking that mid-major bid. I got a question for you. Okay. And Penguin, you can go first. Is if for whatever reason Akron is ranked, right? And I'm just using them for example. You could use them or the other MAC team. I just use Akron because their only losses to Central Michigan, who has a pretty tough strength of schedule. Central Michigan does. If Akron wins out, goes in the conference championship, wins, and their only loss on the season is to Central Michigan, and they win the MAC, do you take a one-loss Akron team, which conference-wise plays for a tougher conference? The MAC is much tougher than where Missouri State plays. Or do you take a Missouri State team if you're on the committee?
Missouri State, don't they have to play potentially Middle Tennessee State again?
Mhm.
Yeah, that's who it'll be.
Yeah, I'm still taking Missouri State because I think that Middle Tennessee State game is quite tough if they do that twice. And I know Missouri is going to be doesn't look like it's going to be anything to matter at the end of the season. That's still a win over a much higher rated SEC team. And didn't they do that on the road as well?
Yeah.
So
So
I don't give them as much credit for that as perhaps they might have once got, but it still is a good win for a team like that. I still think being undefeated, if you were talking they both had one loss, I flip that entirely, and I'm feeling Akron for sure. But if they're unbeaten and there isn't another unbeaten, I'm staying Team Missouri State.
Yeah, I would say if they're undefeated, it's got to be them. The question would be not just the MAC, but what if Jokers goes 10-2 or 11-2 and wins the AAC? What if East Carolina goes 11 or 12-1 and wins the AAC? Do we then that to me that's the conversation. But the problem is the polls, the way people are voting. It's not going to. It's the highest ranked champion, and you don't even see East Carolina and Memphis in the conversation at this point, right? So it may be by default Akron's going to get that spot. That's why, man, we say it every week, but you got to pay attention a little bit to what's going on. Not just you can't just look at the record. You have to look
I
at
hope
the whole
something like that happens, and that there is some outcry, and that donor stands up and says, "Hey, pay attention to when you're all voting here. Y'all screwed me." I hope that happens. I want the voters to be held accountable, and I'd love to see 100+ people take voting in the poll a little bit more seriously sometimes.
So the thing with I'm just bringing up Memphis's losses. Memphis lost to Western Kentucky and then Oklahoma State, which Oklahoma State's a tough loss when you're Memphis, right? But Oklahoma State, for record wise, they're a kind of a top team, but Western Kentucky is not. So that's a bad loss. Like, and it's a games played issued with Memphis, right? South Florida, LSU. You're not going to knock him for that non-conference loss, right? But then he lost to Oregon State, who has got stomped by several teams, right? Kind of the bottom of the doormat, if you would say. And so when you're talking about one or two lost teams, you're going to take into account who they lost to whereas like Akron's only loss is to Central Michigan, who maybe won't lose another game. And if they don't, they're going to beat me, which I'm ranked in the top 15. And so that's going to boast for that MAC to have that ranked win. And the other MAC teams have played other opponents. Pat, what is your theory behind taking like a one-loss Akron team that wins the MAC over Missouri State?
Obviously, you touched on the MAC being really tough. It's pretty crazy how many good coaches are in there. I think if Missouri State runs the table, are you saying if Mo State loses a game? Because I'm going to put in a one-loss Akron in over.
No, I'm saying if Missouri State's wins out, there potentially is only going to be two teams in all of Conference USA over 500. If that happens, if Middle Tennessee wins out, and Missouri
but I'm
State.
taking the guy that won a game on the road in the SEC. Like, at least he, if he's undefeated, he's undefeated, and he should be rewarded as so. And it's one of those things. Yeah, it's going to be body of work, which that'll all settle itself out. But if he's undefeated, I don't think you could put in like this one-loss team. I would feel like they would be snubbed personally. I'm sure if you look deeper into it, maybe the committee will do a deeper dive in resumes because that's their job, than I will. But just from me, again, eye test, which we've talked about this on the show before. The committee doesn't do eye tests; they do resume stuff. So but with eye test, I would take Missouri State over
Well,
Akron.
and remember this: before the desync happened against Missouri, it wasn't just like he went on the road and won; he was blowing him out. Like
That's a great point. He was absolutely killing him. That's correct. I totally
the
forgot.
score doesn't
Yep.
the score doesn't show what happened in that game.
Yeah.
But like I said, that Missouri loss at the end of the season is not going to look very good on paper if you did a blind resume. Because Missouri's going to finish with probably 4 or 5 wins, well, probably 4 wins, and only one of them is going to be in conference. The rest are all going to be non-conference wins against subpar
Yeah.
teams.
Yeah.
I'm with you, but there has to be an asterisk there that the score. You can't just look at that score and say, "All right, they won by 3 on the road at Missouri," because legitimately it was a 3 or 4 score game at least. I think it was a 4 score game at that
Yeah.
point. So
it was a 4-score game.
it wasn't just going on the road and beating Missouri, who is okay, whatever, 4-win team, but it was with a 65 overall team winning and was blasting them on the road at that point. So I don't know. It's an interesting argument. If they go undefeated, it doesn't matter. They'll be in. It'll be.
By the way, Missouri, who beat Roke earlier this year, who we always say is a really good player, he can't be that bad. Just say.
Yeah, I don't think
point.
Roke's having a very good
Yeah.
year. What's tough is if you take, I just looked at like the top 5 Power 4 or Power 5 teams, such as Missouri State, Akron, Eastern Michigan. They all have very bad strengths of schedules. Like they're very bad. And so it's going to be really tough. I mean, to use the strength of schedule, that's going to be pretty much thrown out. And so your argument
Well,
is
and that's what I'm
literally
saying.
going to, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. If you're going to use that argument, then it's got to be the American winner. As long as they don't have, I wrote down in my notes, if they don't have more than 2 losses, it's the AAC winner. If Missouri State loses a game, that would be my opinion. 2-loss AAC champion is the next one in my opinion. If Missouri State loses,
It's going to depend on who in the AAC wins out. I wouldn't put a Memphis team in there or a South Florida team only because I already explained that. One lost to Western Kentucky and then a loss to Oregon State. But if East Carolina wins out, they only have 1 loss. You could legitimately make an argument against Missouri State with 1 loss. If Middle Tennessee was to win, but then Middle Tennessee's going to have an argument, right? If their only loss is to Missouri State, they win their conference championship. To whereas East Carolina's only loss was at NC State to start the season. I mean, you could make some arguments. Like we said, though, a lot of this stuff plays out, and normally our scenarios don't even matter because these coaches that are sitting at 5-1 play, usually their best.
Tim.
Usually
So
play
we can
their.
talk about it.
Yeah, right. They usually end up playing some of their best teams. Normally, what's crazy about this is we spend hours talking about the SEC usually, right?
Yeah.
Last year, the year before it was SEC. How competitive the SEC is, we know it's super competitive, but it's really fun to see some of these coaches last season in the offseason that went to other programs, other schools in the mid majors, which is making it very competitive.
Yeah, it's very top heavy, the SEC this year.
Yep.
Very top heavy.
Yep. Yeah, and so super exciting. I'm excited to see
You getting a
how
beer. Sorry.
Yep. So it's always exciting to see how the new members in the college football playoff, like you talked about, how they're going to view the teams, right? You're probably going to have it a little bit different than every other year. Pat was on the committee once. Hubbard, have you been on the committee? I don't think you have.
no, I have not.
Yeah, and Penguin, you haven't, right?
No,
Yep.
sir.
Yep, just Pat. And so, we've talked to Pat on the show before about how those meetings went, and how that kind of all played out. And I'm sure it's different every year a little bit, because you have stronger voices in that room, that are maybe able to influence other people and to kind of think in the same way and stuff. So it'll be really interesting to see how much weight they put on this first one.
I was on it. We had it easy, man. It was we got it pretty easy. It was the first, 10 of the 12 teams were very obvious. So it made things really easy.
I assume every year it's 12 angry men, except for they're wearing football jerseys.
Yeah. You know what's funny about the committee? I'll be honest with you. Everyone kind of the meeting moves along really smoothly, and there's not people kind of put their argument up. There's a little bit of back and forth, but most of the time it's, hey, we hear each other out, and then 6 will put a poll up, and then everyone votes who they think should be at that spot, and then we come together until there's a unanimous coming together. Does that make sense? If
Yeah.
let's say someone voted 8 for LSU and 4 for Florida, well, 6 doesn't say, oh well, LSU gets it. You have to talk to the other 4 guys. That's what's really cool. it has to be complete agreement, which is really cool. So there's a little insight for you.
No, I like
I've
it.
heard that echoed that he does a good job. That's
He
for
does
sure.
a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
So anyway, go Trojans.
Yeah, and Florida just took the lead on LSU 3-0.
They did, and LSU's best player got ejected on defense for targeting.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, the linebacker, Weeks.
Perkins?
Weeks.
Oh, Perkins
yeah.
is their best.
They've got three.
I
Did you
don't
know
best college player?
all three of their
Yes.
all three of them play on the same team, the Weeks brothers?
That's so cool, man. That's
Yeah.
got to be so cool as a parent to be like, oh, I'm going to go to my kid's game. Oh, where do they play? Oh, all three of them at LSU.
Yeah, right. Talk about family genes.
Makes it easy to decide, right? But what number do you wear in your jersey? That's the question.
Yeah.
You got to
Depends
get
who your
custom.
favorite child is.
That's right.
I think they're all different years though. It's like a senior, like a junior, and then like a freshman, I think, or maybe a
Well,
sophomore.
they're
Yeah, I
not
think
triplets,
that's right.
Tim.
What's that?
Man,
Some exciting college football tonight. We'll move on to the NDL Pick'em games here. We got 6 games this week, obviously leading up to the big game, Block 6, LSU and Alabama. Tons of playoff push there with those two teams. I can't imagine that both those teams won't be in the college football playoff unless one of them just completely collapses. But two of the better teams, two of the better coaches in the league. LSU's won a couple championships as well as the Beefy Cup. And so that'll lead up to our Pick'em games here.
So the first one that we have on hand is going to be NC State playing Miami. So normally I've been doing some fun facts, but this time I got a lot of feedback that people really like hearing about the coaches themselves. So for anyone that got to see any BBB shows this year, both of these gentlemen have been on that show this year. So if I repeat myself on any answers you knew, I apologize. But we're going to start with NC State. Okay, he's been in the league since the inception. As you guys probably already know, he runs our website. He's phenomenal. His favorite movie of all time, he states, quote unquote, lots of good ones, but Major Payne will always give me a good laugh for many years. Couldn't agree more. Great film. His favorite North Carolina State plate ever is Julius Hobbs. Although after the ACC title and Final Four run, DJ Burns has got to be up there. That's the big boy that was posting people up in March Madness. His favorite person to play in the league is none other than UConn's Dave Riccio. They've played almost every season in a non-conference game. And then, of course, in typical homie fashion, who's your least favorite player to play? No least favorites, at least at this time, is what his answer was. How did you find out about the NDL? I created it, you jag off. No, I'm kidding. He didn't put that. Jeff, back at the start, I got in fairly early, was able to snag, this will be a throwback name, Timmy Chang and Chad Owens at Hawaii. Remember that lethal connection? He works commercial insurance, which we constantly joke about because it just is such an interesting segue into the league website. And then his favorite game other to play than NCAA is Mario Kart World. Sounds like a blast, by the way. I don't have kids, so I'm not going to play it by myself. Do any of you play Mario Kart World? Is it fun?
I play Mario Kart.
I've played various versions of it in the past.
Yeah, we play Mario Kart on the Switch sometimes, but
okay. Have you any of you ever been to Turks and Caicos before?
What is
I
that?
have not.
Turks and Caicos? It's in the Dominican Republic, I believe, right? Anyway, that's his favorite place to travel.
I thought you said Kinko's at first, like Kinko's. Remember the office place? Because that would check, right? Like homie going to Kinko's to hang out.
Oh my god! And then I was interested to get his answer on this. If there was one rule you could add and one rule you'd take out, what would that be? It's always my favorite question to ask everyone because everyone has a different answer. Of course, this is a typical homie answer. Add video archive of all games that gives some historical context to some of the bigger matchups. Remove stat entry with the caveat that EA finds a way to give us game data export. His answer. What does any of that mean?
That would be amazing, no lie.
Doesn't want any rules change. He just wants to make things awesome.
He just wants some technology ads, of course.
And what a nerd.
And then he's playing the University of Miami. What's really great about this game, both their favorite teams are playing for their favorite teams in the NDL. Corey is definitely a guy's guy. I've hung out with him, known him for a long time. His favorite movie of all time is Top Gun, the original, not the remake. He made sure to make that very clear. His favorite player on the University of Miami of all time is none other than Sean Taylor. Couldn't agree more. And then he is a Denver Bronco fan, for anyone that doesn't know. So John Elway is his favorite NFL player of all time. His favorite NDL memory so far is winning his first and only national championship against VT Run and Gun. That's AKA Brother Beige. That's AKA Virginia Tech. He was on Big Beer, Bourbon, and Ball on Thursday. His least favorite person to play, this is funny, is his good friend Shell. And here's why. They run and use the same playbook. Why would you do that?
That is hilarious.
Like, change the playbook before the game. That's what he put right here. We run the same playbook, and I am 0 for life against him in NCAA, he says. And then his favorite player to play is Keg Raider. Couldn't agree more. I play Keg next block. Excited about that. How did he hear about the NDL? If you watch Beer, Bourbon, and Ball, he stumbled across League Daddy with Shell, and now he's in the league. He came in season 3 with North Carolina. For work, he leads a team of account managers for healthcare technology companies, and he's responsible for the west side of the country. His favorite game to play other than NCAA is PGA, 2K25, and the favorite place he's ever traveled is Hawaii. Now, look, here's the deal. Miami, NC State. Miami is the most interesting team in the league because that team is really good on this game. We've mentioned it before. He doesn't have a ton of games played. He's right there in the middle. NC State has to be the surprise team of the year so far this year, I would think, right? Like the Duke win was huge. If you even look in the Massings, he's ahead of someone that's undefeated. So he's the surprise team, but I think finally the talent of NC State will be overwhelmed by the talent of Miami. I think Corey has realized that maybe running the ball helps. He runs the ball a little more than he used to. He used to be a prolific passer. So give me Miami by 10 in this one.
It's a lot of great information, and I gotta say, I gotta agree with most of those takes. I really love what Homie's done this season, and NC State has been, he's truly gotten the most out of that squad, and they can absolutely win this game. There's no doubt. I mean, you've seen what they did against, that won that battle against Duke, and I mean, he's on a run. He is definitely could be a playoff team at the end, and it wouldn't shock me. But the little I have seen from Corey with his boys has been quite good. That plus the talent edge, plus playing at home, I think the Canes, and I think winning by 2 scores makes a lot of sense in this one.
Yeah, I think Pat hit the nail on the head. This Miami's interesting, right? Because only 5 games played, but it's not. I mean, NC State's only played 6. It's not like we're talking about a huge difference here. He beat Notre Dame by 17. That same team that beat NC State, right? The other thing is NC State's interesting because they've had a great year. They were the first team, I think, because Wake Forest came out scoring like 60 or 70 points in their first 2 games, right? NC State holds them to 20 in the third one, and we're like, okay. And then they go on the road and they beat Duke, and then they beat Virginia Tech, and so it's like, I don't know, man. And you look at the stats, and NC State's 15th in offense, 5th in defense. Miami's only 99th in offense. They played NC State's played the 17th toughest schedule just based on percentage at like 607. Miami's is 34th. But I'm with you guys. I think that man, Miami's the pick here, and I hate that because NC State's had a great year. I think Jordan Lyle. You mentioned the running game, Pat. I think he'll get Lyle going, and I think Miami wins this one by a couple of scores.
Yeah, you mentioned Jordan Lyle, and that I think that he's going to be a big difference maker on the offensive side of the ball for Miami. Pat already talked about how Corey is running the ball really well. He's really committed to the running game, big plays. Lyle averaging almost 6.5 yards a carry. I think that on the defensive side of the ball, I think Miami's Charles Brantley, a defensive back, leads the team in interceptions. I think he's going to be a difference maker on the back end, to where I am going to pick Miami winning. I had a hard time picking Miami winning, and the only reason is more as a sentimental reason for Homie. Homie's a large part of how I'm able to do this game day show. He's been the kind of the guy behind the curtain. He's like the Wizard of Oz. He's been back there. He's taught me everything I know about the OBS and how to do all these scenes and cuts and cameras. And Pat talked about it already. He does everything on the website. It's all self-taught. He didn't take classes or anything like that. It's all been self-taught. And obviously, you guys know our website is by far, it blows any league or anything, any gaming league completely out of the water. And so I had a hard time. I had to give that shameless plug to Homie, as we do appreciate everything that you do for us here on the Game Day Show. But I'm going with Miami, man. Corey's got a lot of weapons, and it's going to be ugly. And I think it ends up being ugly in the second half. And then Smitty obviously picked Miami as well. Love you, homie, but it's getting ugly.
Moving right along, we're staying in the ACC with a battle of teams that don't have quite the same prospects as our previous matchup here. Get SMU traveling to BC. And to start off with, SMU has had a decent season. They've won 6 games to this point. Big win over Auburn decisively to start the season, but also a bad loss at home to UTEP. And on the flip side of the coin, we've got Boston College and Coach Rock. Let it never be said that the man is afraid to play anyone, anywhere. I mean, played Texas and Alabama already this season. Oh, and of course he had a game versus Clemson. And he was in all of those. Even the Texas loss was only by 10 points. And the rest were all by a single score. Still, it doesn't change the fact he's sitting there at 3-5. You know he's going to give a good game, and SMU's a little better. But I think this is going to come down to how the coaches handle those tough matchups. And I don't think there's any contest there. I think Rock and what he's done with BC actually smacks SMU around here, gets a little of that frustration out for only sitting at 3-5 at this point, and this begins their march towards bowl eligibility.
Okay, well, I guess we're going to celebrate moral victories now. BC is basically
It's not celebrating. Just saying the fact he's had a tough schedule.
No, he's actually played. He's actually played the toughest one, right? It's actually the toughest schedule, but he hasn't won those games, right? I mean, that's the thing. Like, I get it. He lost to Texas by 10, Clemson, Bama, Louisville by 3, Missouri by 1. Which Missouri, we already Pat's already said Missouri sucks. It doesn't matter anyway, right? So it doesn't matter.
my mistake. I stand corrected.
I'm
sorry. Yeah, I'm sorry. Tim
Pat.
said that.
No, that was Pat. Pat said that.
We complimented Missouri for being
That's right. Here's the thing. This is golly, quarterback play is going to be big in this one, right? Kevin Jennings and Lonergan both have put up big numbers. I just, man, the one thing that scares me, SMU's had 17 drops. When you go back and really look at the stats, they've had 17 drops, which is bad. Defensively, they have a couple of guys with 3 picks. Boston College gets a ton of turnovers. Even those losses, they stayed in those games because they were able to force turnovers. Remember the Texas game; they were able to get some picks there. Man, I don't understand the SMU loss to UTEP. That's the one that I cannot get past. I don't understand it. However, they've won 6 times out of 9 games, and I'm going to go with I'm going to go with SMU here.
Man, when you go look at his schedule, Penguin already talked about it. Roke plays. They have the toughest schedule in the nation this year, and if I'm not mistaken, it's been that way ever since he's joined the league. Travels on the road. Almost every of the non-conference games are all on the road. He says he's looking for points, right? And so it's either he's going to win them all or not. But we talk about the best 4-3 loss. He is by far the best 5-loss team in the NDL. Hubbard made fun of moral. Hubbard made fun of moral victories. I am going to mention the Texas game. He's the only guy that's competed against Texas this year. Yeah. Not even close. Guy. He is the only guy, and there's been better teams that have played Texas talent-wise, and he's the only one to keep the game close and competitive. I think he's going to win here. I'm with Penguin. He's looking to be bowl eligible, and I'll tell you what, if there was any team in the league that had a 500 or lower rating, and nobody wants to play him. He's by far going to be the guy that nobody would want to play. But again, a 5-loss team may make in the college football playoffs, so none of them have to worry about it. But he's going to make it a tough bowl game if he plays anybody. I got Boston College winning, and he's going to be able to run the ball. It is he gets into trouble when he passes. If you watch any of Boston College's games, he starts pushing the ball down the field and he turns it over. That's usually how he loses, but I think he's going to be able to run the ball and he's going to win.
Yeah. Look, I want to tell a very quick story about. Is it Rock or Roke? Does anyone know how to say it? Is it
Whatever
Roke?
you want it to be, Pat.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So I'm going to call him Roke because that's the way I say it in my head. So the first day, like the game came out last year, he came in the chat and said, "Hey, he was like, I'm 19-0 so far on the first day of the drop on the road to the playoff or whatever, right? Like, you know what I'm talking about, Tim? Like
Yeah.
where you play like random lobby people." And in typical NDL fashion, and I know I wasn't the only one, I was like, "Oh God, this guy is going to be the cheesiest MFer of all time." And I played him last season, and it's been my top 3 most enjoyable games I've played since I've been in this league, since we returned. And I just want to give him a shout out. And he also will randomly drop. I don't know if you guys know this, the funniest gift in the live chat. He'll just randomly respond to someone's stupid comment with like a gift that gets like 12 little laughing emojis on it. The guy is on point. I always like a guy that's lurking in the shadows. So I'm definitely going to take Roke against Flock. I think he might be the best 3-5 team that ever existed in our league. Those scores that he has against those teams they're all on the road. So, and in respect to him, he uses his favorite team, and I just think he'll take care of the ball. He won't turn it over in this one. So give me Boston College by 30. Yeah.
Okay, great. Feeling really confident now in my pick. And okay,
It's
I'm
like
going
a
to apologize,
pony of
Pat.
old.
As we go to our next, as we go to our next game here, Pat, Utah and Baylor. I want to go back a couple of weeks ago, and I came on the show and I proclaimed that Pat and the Bears, they're probably a top 12 team. They're probably in the playoff. They were playing so well, and it just hasn't been pretty since then. And so I need to apologize to you, Pat. And so either I'm going to make you feel worse right now, or I'm going to somehow reverse the curse. I'm not real sure. But Utah comes in 8-0. They've played really well, right? They beat. I think it was week 3 or 4 when they came out and just dominated Tech in a game of the week that we thought, okay, man, we thought Tech was going to win the game. Utah came out and dominated it. Really, the wins after that, or really since then, have not. There's really nothing impressive. They have the 80th toughest schedule in the league with a 440 winning percentage. They're 42nd in offense. They are really good on defense. They're 4th overall. Pat, on the other hand, man, 12th on offense, 7th on defense. He's played not a great schedule. 55th toughest schedule, 451 overall. And Utah's beaten up a lot of bad teams. Looking at the quad 3 and 4 wins, actually, 7 of his 8 wins have come against quad 3 and 4 teams. So it's weird because Utah has not played the schedule that Boston College has for sure, right? Quarterback Dampier obviously came over from New Mexico, 16 touchdowns through the air, 7 on the ground, dual threat quarterback. Obviously, Baylor, golly, Pat, would you stop giving Washington the ball because his legs are going to fall off? 135 carries, almost 1,000 yards. He's broken 37 tackles. He's got 400 yards on the air, through the air, 7 touchdowns in the air. You got Kobe Prentice, who's going off 9 touchdowns. Michael Trigg, your tight end, 7 touchdowns. Pat can score with anybody. But Tim and I were talking. Pat, you have one issue, and that's Sawyer Robertson has 15 picks, and you're playing the guy. You're playing the guy that has a ton of picks. He has, I think there's 6 different guys that have at least 2 interceptions. He's got multiple defensive touchdowns, and I think that could be the difference here, Pat. If you start throwing it around, it goes to Utah, and I think I don't know why, Pat. You can't help yourself here. You're going to throw it. It's going to be a close. I think you're going to play him tough. I think Utah wins.
Yeah. So 2 things here. We're not telling anything that Pat doesn't know. I had a chance to visit with, Coach Pat. A couple. It was prior to the Oklahoma State game, and that was the big thing that Coach Pat talked about. Is, man, I really need to protect the ball. And Coach Pat kind of brought out some things. Is that obviously Hubbard already talked about. Pat has a top 10 defense in the NDL. And what I guess what they do, what the Baylor Bears do, is they offense puts their defense in some really horrible situations. Usually when Pat throws an interception, it's not just an interception tackle, it's a pick 6. Or it's a pick down into the red zone and then they end up scoring. And so a lot of the points that are scored against Pat aren't necessarily on the defensive side. It's more or less the offensive side putting him in really bad situations. Pat's a wonderful passer, but it's always that you always have that one or two mistakes a game that end up really costing you or flipping the momentum. In a game like this, where you have Marion County, who's the opposite, he's going to try to control the clock. He's going to run the ball. He's going to wait for you to throw, kind of that bend but don't break defense. It's going to be really important that Pat stays to the running game. And I've been watching Pat play football for the last several seasons in there, and that ain't going to happen. Pat's going to take some shots down the field, and it's going to end up being, man, I wanted to pick Baylor. I really did. Pat does not have very much confidence. You could tell the last couple of weeks. And so I had a really hard time picking Baylor. I really, really, really want Baylor to win. But I think Utah's going to win, and it's going to be in the fourth quarter. It's going to be late, and it's going to end up being that silly mistake that ends up being a pick six. And I think that's going to be the big difference in the game.
Yeah. So it's my turn. Look, here's the deal. You guys ever hear the saying, don't ever meet your heroes? You guys ever hear that before? So one of the coaches in California when I coached in high school that I looked up to, his name's Matt Logan, and I got a chance to actually meet with him. He coaches at the school Corona Centennial, who just beat the number one team in the country last night. Mater Dei gave them their first loss in like 6 years or something like that. So he told me once when I met with him, I said, what's the most important thing about coaching football? He goes, to tell your offense to never turn the ball over more than 3 times. When you turn the ball over 3 times or more, you win the game 10% of the time. That's 10%. Don't ever meet your heroes, okay? Because he gave me some advice that I do not take. I am going to toot my own horn here because I may never be another game of the week again. Look, if you watch my games in the NDL long enough, we're all about the electricity, man. We have big plays. We have plays where you wonder if I play the game with my back to the TV. But I will give the offense a ton of credit. I like to talk about my defensive guys a lot because I do have a defensive background. But offense right now, even in the losses, and yes, the picks were all on the quarterback. We talked all week in practice. They are always in the red zone, it seems like. But we have 4 receivers over 400 yards receiving. We have 4 receivers over 5 touchdowns or more, and a tailback that's at about 1,000 yards rushing. So the offense is there. It just has to be the decision making. I played Marion County a bunch. I know he watches a ton of streams. So my biggest deal here in this game, besides protecting the football, obviously, is I really have to change the looks on offense because he's going to get picks because he'll know the way I line up and what I like to do. I'm obviously going to pick myself because I ain't no bitch. So give me Baylor 35, Utah 28.
I love the confidence. It's bold. It's fantastic, and I'm sure your team will feel it. But the matchup and things people have said, I got to go back to the patience and the turnovers. It's true, and plus, Utah's and Marion has been a little different this season. I think he's on a mission to get back where he feels he belongs. And even though he may have had more talent in the past, I think he's actually a tougher out this season. I believe this game will be a battle for sure, but whoever holds the ball last is going to get it. And I think that'll be Utah with the ball last, and they will win in the last minute of the game.
Appreciate it, fellas.
Hey, the other thing is,
I already told you the science behind my pick.
Pat, I was actually impressed. Do you know how many sacks you've given up this year?
I don't.
Just one. Just one. Hey, sometimes
He
a sack's
throws
better
it.
than a pick.
Yeah,
Just take the
he
sack.
just
Take the sack.
Yep.
There you go.
Dude,
There's
we definitely don't have a problem spreading the rock around, dude. You know what I mean? Like, we throw it to everybody, but shit.
Yeah.
And I mean everybody.
yeah, you got to quit throwing it to the other team though. Everybody on your team only.
Sawyer Robertson's colorblind. It's okay. It doesn't matter. It's okay.
It's all good, baby. We're excited for the game. It might be getting played, by the way, Monday, 3:30 Eastern time.
Ooh, I like it. That's a mid-afternoon game at work. Those are the best on Monday too.
Absolutely. That's
exciting.
what we're planning for.
God bless you.
Yes, you're welcome. Just another thing I just love about the league. I'm just here to help. We've got next. Okay, now we've got Maryland and Illinois. Okay, I've got 2 coaches with some questions. I don't know if you guys know more. as well as I do a little bit. We talk quite a bit because we both talk the passing game. This guy sent me a dissertation when I asked him some questions. So I will try to shorten it as best as I can, okay? But first, we will start, okay, with MJ Kemp in Illinois. As most know, he is still in high school. He's born and raised in Wrightstown, New Jersey. Favorite movie? I'll like how we're going to have like guys in their 40s versus kids answers in their teens. This is great, okay? His favorite movie is Like Mike Part 2.
Oh,
Okay.
I'm changing my pick right now.
Yeah, man. I hope
Movie he
Michigan State
loves.
beats the shit out of them now. No, I'm just kidding.
oh, damn.
His favorite all-time Buckeye, he is an Ohio State fan, is Ezekiel Elliott. And then obviously he played for the Cowboys, and Kemp is a Cowboy fan. So he also really likes CD Lamb. Good choices. It's very hard for him to choose his favorite NDL moment, but Tim and Penguin, you'll like this because I have so many. But my favorite NDL memory of all time is when I was on GameDay with my guy El Jefe.
Oh
His
man,
best friend.
that was
Isn't
good
that
stuff. That's exciting.
isn't
All
that
right,
cute?
all right, all right.
Yeah. Okay. So
Okay,
now
maybe
I
he's
hope
all
he.
right then.
Yeah. Now I hope CG doesn't beat his ass.
Coach D. Canada is hands down his favorite coach to play. He says they always have great games. And then he said Vegas is his least only because he can't effing beat him. Were his words, not mine. Really cool. I always love to see the youth out there working in the job field. He's a catering business that makes pizzas for all types of private parties. So I thought that was pretty cool. NBA 2K26 is his favorite game to play because basketball is his passion. And then Turks and Caicos as well is his favorite destination to travel with his family. When I asked him what rule does he not like, shocker, he put, I feel that QB playmaker is very realistic. If this is a sim league, why would we do away with it? And then a rule I would add is to ban the mid blitz because it's whack.
If you run into it, it works. Yeah, that's all you got to do.
All right, so Mort the Cow. Like I said, I'm going to try to compress this, but it's so well written that anyway, his favorite movie of all time, Shawshank Redemption. Fantastic answer. With a nod to the movie Snatch. He's
A lot better
Tech
movies.
alum.
A lot better movies than MJ Kemp. Just saying.
Yeah, just a little better than like Mike 2. I don't think that one was making it
One
to
of
the
the
Academy Award.
so
That
Fat
was
Matt,
direct to DVD.
Yeah, Fat Matt said I didn't even know there was a part 2, and I'm with him. Did not know that.
I don't think anyone did, but MJ Kemp.
It's his favorite movie.
Mort graduated as alumni, huge Texas Tech fan. His favorite athletes of all time, Tim Brown, Hall of Fame wide receiver. I like how he had to explain that to me, like I don't watch football. And then a Major League Baseball player, Barry Bonds. Barry is my goat. I loved him with the Pirates and the Killer Bees. Buck Sid Bream. That's what he wrote.
Okay, I've changed my opinion on Mort.
Oh.
Texas Tech, Mahomes is obvious, so I'll skip that one because it was also a very dark time for me. I was at Tech at the time with Kingsbury and Wes Welker, and being able to personally witness Wes Welker, this forgotten country boy receiver who was arguably one of the most electric players in college football. So clearly, he's a big Wes Welker fan. Favorite NDL memory so far was his game with Boise last year. If you guys remember, he was UTSA last season. That game was completely nuts, trying to stop Ashton Genty. iRocket was on a podcast when we started. It was tons of big playbacks that fired me up, and the game went into OT. And he took home the vaunted Los Angeles Bowl trophy of a homeless man shitting in front of Gavin Newsom's house.
Oh, that's a beautiful scene.
He wrote this thing out really well. His favorite person to play. Favorite is tough, mainly because I really love the variety that so many different guys bring. Right now, it's probably Marion County because those games will have helped me hone in Maryland. Least favorite to play is Cruising, Eastern Michigan. I brought him into the NFL. He's a former co-commish of other leagues, and we've been playing EA football since 18 or 19. It's a love-hate. That's a good answer to that. Eastern Michigan coach is good. How did you hear about the NDL? In the weirdest way, I was bored and frustrated with the game, thinking about just hanging it up of the 25 cycle, and then I wandered on to Operation Sports and found the NDL. How random is that, by the way? Is that site still a thing?
Wow.
Operation Sports?
That's where we used to get
Yeah.
rosters from.
Yeah. So that's how he found the NDL. What does he do for work? He's a realtor in Nashville. Used to work for Yahoo Sports and Rivals.com. But Yahoo is as well organized as a Derek Dooley 2-minute drill.
Or a Josh Heupel one today we saw.
Yeah,
Good
right.
Lord.
Yep.
Not going to sleep tonight. Favorite game other than NCAA? None right now outside of college football. I like solo story games like God of War. I'm right there with you, Mort. Me too. Favorite place he's ever traveled to is Switzerland because it's stunning, and he also it reminds him of going to Disney World with his family, which I can totally understand. That's got a Switzerland vibe for sure. And then again, the rule you would take out and the rule you would change. He would change fourth down. This is interesting. I don't think guys should go willy-nilly, but I hate being at the 47 on my own 47, 4th and 2, and having to punt. Now, this is what I don't like. The league I ran, Mort, I don't really give a shit about the league you ran. We reduced it to it has been the going forward on fourth down has to make sense strategically. That's some gray area. And if you couldn't defend it, then you could be punished. 4th and 7 inside your own 20, obviously punt it. But 4th and inches on your own 35, I think you should be able to go for it. That's what he put. He's also low-key against the score cap rule, but he completely understands it. He thinks that you leave these gray area opens to if you recover a fumble and go up by 42 in the end zone. And then I did respond to him just stating that they obviously review that kind of stuff, and he had no idea. Hometown, he's 44 years old, and he is from Clifton, Texas. Do you know where that is, Jeremy?
I do. Actually, close to Waco.
Oh, is it? I should know that, being the coach at Baylor. But as far as my pick in this game, a lot of people don't realize, or maybe they do, Kemp has been in the playoff of our league 3 out of the 4 seasons last version. He hasn't played a lot of games this version. He's a varsity football player. He's a two-way starter, by the way, offensive guard and DN. You got to love high school football. So he's still a fantastic player. He has 2 losses to 2 good teams. I believe it's LSU in Texas. And he still has a bulk of really important games to play. And I do think Morton and Maryland might get brought down to earth a little bit in this game. And I've got Illinois by 17 points.
Yeah. Well, I think it will be a good matchup to start with, but I mean, like you said, we know exactly what we're getting out of Kemp for his past history, and he's got a talent edge, and he's at home. Mort's going to bring a good game, but I think we're going to see the difference between a playoff caliber coach with a borderline playoff caliber team and a coach who is still good, has a team that's just not quite at that level. And Illinois pulls away in the third quarter in this one and wins by a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, really like Mort. I had a couple conversations with him, played scrimmage him a few times. Here's the thing, Mort. Let me give you some advice. The first time you go for it on 4th and inches anywhere, if you're playing a Mountain West team, you're probably going to be crucified for that. So don't do it again. At least verbally.
Don't think about my conference commission like that.
Just saying. That's the guy right there, man. If you're playing Air Force, you better punt it. The other thing is this. I forgot about this. As we were thinking about Kemp, and I was like, man, why do I have a bad taste in my mouth about that guy? Oh, yeah, because he took 14 days to make the 4th pick in the draft, in the stupid slow draft. So, in addition to like Mike 2 or whatever it is, I'm still picking the little guy. But here's the thing: don't do that crap again, Kemp. Don't do it again. But Illinois is going to win the game. So, and he told us he said, I'm just going to wait till Friday for fun. Like, dude, you better be glad you're a minor. That's all I'm going to say.
So we could definitely, I think, Pat, this may have been us last year when we were talking about, and it may have been Phony was with us, but we were talking about when you're younger in the league, sometimes you do things that you think are funny at the time. And then when you get older, you realize they were not funny at all, and you start realizing why other people don't think things are funny. And I think that was one of those instances where if Kemp, lives it out and in 5 years, he's going to be like, man, that was dumb. I shouldn't have done that. Because obviously it pissed off a lot of people, Hubbard being one of them in the chat.
And you know what my favorite part about it was is he thought he was going to get Ohio State at like the 9th pick, so he didn't know who to try to use. Like,
Yep.
dude, that's common sense. That team is long gone.
Yeah, and he didn't even have a backup plan for Ohio State. It was just Ohio State. Which is obviously one of the most sought after teams because someone had held on to him since season 29. And so,
I mean, good Lord, just take somebody.
Right. And so one of the big things we talked about Tennessee last year a lot in the SEC being that every time in the midseason or towards the end, they always had 2 losses, right? 2 or 3 losses. And we're like, man, he's got to win out to make the college football playoff. That's where Illinois is sitting, right? Sitting with 2 losses. Hubbard already talked about a lot of big games still left to play in the conference. He's going to benefit if he doesn't play in his conference championship game, right? He's going to sit there with 2 losses, not playing his conference championship game, have a big game against Maryland, who's finally ranked, so that'll be a ranked win. He still plays Ohio State. If he can play that game close, maybe somehow come out with a win there, but he'd probably be better off not. He could be that 3-loss team where we're talking about maybe potentially making that college football playoff for some of that reason that Pat talked about. There's no way that committee sits in there and in the back of their mind, they're not like, hey, man, this guy's made it into our college football playoff 3 of the 4 years, And so I have Illinois winning. I think it's going to be the same scenario as you guys talked about. He's going to wear them out. He's going to run the ball. He makes big play action plays down the field, and he's eventually going to wear out Morton in Maryland. But I'll tell you, the interviewing that you did with him, probably some of my favorite answers ever. And so it's really tough to pick against him, but I've already picked Illinois.
Yep, that's fair. Well,
and by the way, I shortened it down by half. It was way longer, and I'm not kidding.
Love it. Well, this is a very ACC heavy episode for some reason, as now we jump to Clemson heading to Louisville in a matchup that, given Clemson getting the victory over Duke the other week, is most likely puts one of these teams with a very good chance, almost certain chance of being in the ACC championship game. But then we know Clemson's definitely going to be the favorite. Maffa may be gone, but there is no shortage of talent on this team, especially in the lines and on defense. I believe their strength of schedule is a top 10 still. They've got some of the best offensive power ratings, but a terrible defensive power rating. And Louisville, on the other hand, I was thinking initially this game, was an easy pick, but then you realize how well Louisville has run the ball this year. I mean, was it Brown, the running back, I believe is over 1,100 yards already. And as we all know, if you run the ball, you tend to win. Still, given the way Clemson came back and turned the tide, granted they had some help from a crazy play against Duke, I feel like Clemson being more battle-tested is going to make a difference in this one. That game versus Duke, even though they got manhandled, they played Texas earlier. So, I mean, there's nothing they're going to see from Louisville that they haven't seen talent and scheme-wise from teams they've already played. For that reason, I think the Tigers take this one comfortably.
I'm going to say this. Clemson, we could probably just end the argument right here. They did go on the road and beat the powerhouse Boston College by 3, the best 3-5 team in the history of football. But, here's the thing. You mentioned the way that Isaac Brown runs the ball. It's actually up to 1361. He's running for 1360. He's got 22 runs of 20 or more yards. He's got 17 touchdowns. And Miller Moss is still throwing the ball 1,500 yards. So he's offensively, he's really good. 22nd in the league on offense, 21st on defense. And you mentioned Clemson, not very good on defense. Actually, 97th officially is what it is. The one thing that does concern me for Clemson is Klubnik. He's thrown 12 interceptions with him so far, and he hasn't been able to run the ball with Cade very well, which you think you would need a little bit of that maybe. And Louisville can get turnovers at a high rate. Here's what I'm going to say. Louisville, he rubbed some people the wrong way, begging to be ranked a few weeks ago, right? Like, don't come in there and say that because then it makes people have that negative opinion already. Shout out to our man NTX at Miami of Ohio. By the way, he's run back 3 kickoffs, I think, for touchdowns this year. Louisville has 2, one for 104 yards and one for 95. So here's the thing. I'm going to pick Clemson to win the game. If this is a game where if Louisville can win, it kind of backs up what he's been saying. He would go to 7-1. He'd put himself in that spot to where he could potentially get in that ACC championship game. And then we're talking about an 11-1 Louisville maybe down the road, and what can they do? So it's his chance to prove it. But I'm going to go with Clemson at this point. I think just the roster and the talent is too good. But if he makes a lot of mistakes like he's done with Klubnik in the past, it'll be a Cardinal win.
Yeah, I think this is like you talked about, a great chance for him to kind of put the money where the mouth is. But I think what's happened is an old throwback quote from Top Gun is he's writing a check his body can't cash. Clemson's going to wear him out. He's done a great job running the ball this year, showing that Mafe wasn't his only offense last year. It's just the way he runs his offense, right? He's a run first. I'm with you, though. He's struggling to pass the ball, which I think will be an issue when he gets into the college football playoff. Or when he gets in that ACC championship game. That's going to become an issue that he can't make plays without turning the ball over. But I have Clemson winning. I think the game will be close. Whatever reason, El Jefe plays most of his games close until the very end of the fourth quarter. It doesn't matter who he's playing. And so it'll be a close game, but I think he wears him out, running the ball.
Yeah, this game it's two of our better rushing offenses in the league, and you hear so much this year about the feedback on how hard it is to run the ball. So this will be a little bit different than what we're used to watching. The one thing that when I made this pick, for some reason I'm a knucklehead because Tim told me that Louisville was at home, but I just ignored that. I guess I thought the game was at Clemson. I'm not going to change my pick. I do have Clemson pick, but here's the deal. It seems like El Jefe hasn't been around as much this year, so maybe he's struggling a little bit. And how do you say it? SRGT. I'll just call him. He's always been like a two-loss kind of guy in our league. He throws the ball really well. I think whoever can get the passing game going in this game will win. And I'm a little concerned that Jefe is giving up so many points with that Clemson defense. They're absolutely loaded. You've got to be getting pressure. They have a D tackle that's unblockable. And I think Clemson, was it Tim, said they would wear him down at the end. His games are always close in the fourth quarter. I think he scores that last score to put him up by 2 scores, maybe 10 points, 10 points, 9 points, something like that. And Clemson will wear him down at the end. But this game is going to be a lower scoring than some people think because you've got two guys that really want to run the rock.
All right, last one, game of the week, and it's one that everybody's been looking forward to, I think. Number 3, LSU. Number 2, Alabama. Correct or am I backwards? Either way, 2 and 3 here. LSU traveling to take on Alabama. You got the 2-time defending champion, 5-0 on the year. Not a lot of games played. We've talked about that enough. Alabama 9-0. Smitty plays every game. He just doesn't show up for our show anymore. I'm kind of taking that personal, by the way, because since I've been here, Smitty's not shown up. But whatever. Let's talk about Smitty because here's the thing: his schedule is not very tough. You would think it'd be a little tougher. 73rd rated schedule. He played Temple, Kent State, BYU. He also beat the best 3 and 5 team in the history of football, Boston College. He beat Georgia, Vandy, and that great Missouri team as well, Tennessee and South Carolina. Listen to this. This is interesting. Caden Proctor on his offensive line has 70 pancakes in 9 games, which seems like a lot. Maybe it's not. I didn't see anybody else with near that many. A couple of guys with 30-something. He has forced 22 turnovers. He has 22, just interceptions. He has 22 interceptions on the year defensively. He's mastered one of the hardest parts of the game, kicking field goals. He's perfect on PATs. Oh, maybe just jinxed him. 6 to 7 field goals. So he's done all these little things right. He's throwing the football well. 23 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But he's playing the back-to-back champ. And even though I have Alabama ranked higher, I'm going to go with LSU to win the game. And here's why they get turnovers as well. He does not turn the ball over much at all. Nussmeier only 3 picks on the year. He's thrown it 122 times, only 3 picks on the year. Durham has not been as much of a factor as we thought he might be. I know he's only played 5 games, got 600 yards, so I guess it's pretty productive for just 5 games. However, I just think the one thing that concerns me, I'm going to pick LSU, but the one thing that concerns me is that Alabama defense is really good. The defensive line is really good. The secondary is really good. And if for some reason LSU can negate that and they can just do their thing on offense, I think LSU wins the game. But Smitty's had a heck of a year, and it would not surprise me if Smitty won the game, but I'll go with the Tigers.
It was tough this was another one tough for me to pick against a brethren from the Game Day show. But when I really looked down on paper, Hubbard already brought up some of the big points, is that Alabama's defense, I think, is a little bit better than LSU's on paper anyways. I also think Alabama's been better battle tested so far in the season, mainly games played. To whereas I'm not sure that Bucknut's playing the game much. I know he's a really heavy zone defense team, and zone defense isn't as good as it was last year in the video game, right? Smitty does something very well in the game that is very hard to do in this version, and that's run the ball very effective. And he runs the ball under center, right? Most teams are spreading it out, creating some zones and passing. And so I think that's going to be the difference in the game is that Alabama is going to be able to line up under center and run the ball against LSU. They're going to control the clock. They're going to burn the clock down. I think they're going to force LSU to pass the ball, and I think there's going to be a turnover that's a difference. I have Alabama winning. I think he wins by a couple scores. Hopefully the game's played in prime time so everyone can watch it.
Super excited about this game. I think this is a fun fact about Smitty that people maybe don't know. I don't believe he's ever lost to Bucknut. He's either 2-0 or 3-0 against him in his NDL career. He is his kryptonite. He beat him in the college football playoff when he was Iowa State, and Bucknut was obviously LSU. And then last year he beat him Ole Miss against LSU. He has a good formula to beat Bucknut, and that is like what Tim said. He'll get under center. He runs the ball. He likes to run to the weak side, which Bucknut kind of leaves open because he refuses to run anything but zone. And so I'm going to go with Bama here just based off the home field advantage. He's going to be able to audible and hot route and do the things that he wants to do. And then did you guys see Ryan Williams and the other Durham, the two receivers? They both average over 30 yards of reception.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna beat him over the top a few times. And oddly enough, I think this might be a high scoring one. But I did take Alabama on this one. My former game day brethren, I think we can call him now, considering he's been on one quarter of a show in season 33, where he changed locations more than he gave his opinion. So yeah, give me Alabama though in this one.
They're making a lot of good points, and Bama's at home. But if Alabama's not going to win, yeah. Sorry, Smitty, but there are a lot of reasons as far as strategy. There's some history. I think it's going to come down to in this matchup. I think LSU's and Bucknut's going to use his speed. He's going to be one of the few teams, maybe the only matchup Bama has this season where he's at a speed disadvantage overall. And I think that is going to get in his head a little bit at times, knowing how he is, how he plays. And I think there's a good chance that Smitty is playing from behind, which takes away his advantage of how he runs the ball a bit. And that'll slant the game in LSU's favor. Plus, even though Alabama is at home, LSU's got a quarterback who really isn't going to be bothered by that. So that's another advantage of Bama's that's going to be neutralized. For that reason, I think the defending champ keeps marching on. I think this win will remind people of, why he was ranked number 1 to start the season.
Be really interested to see what coach presses first. 2 experienced coaches on the road. Does Bucknut play it slow? Like, who's going to be the coach that's going to make the big press first? Whether it's taking a shot downfield to potentially miss it and give up the possession. It'll be really interesting to see that kind of chess match play out between the 2 coaches. Really excited. Man, I'm watching real college football right now, and man, Tulane's new jerseys, those green and blues, those are sweet looking. Just thought I'd throw that out there. And then Pat USC up by 10 over Purdue right now.
Yeah. The weather just threw them off.
Go in with them. Fine. We got a big one in the SEC right now, Florida LSU 3-3. And I did say the other day in the forum chat when people were making fun of Florida, I said, watch, they're going to win one of these next 3 games just to keep him there. And that's what's tailoring to happen. It was 10-0, but they called a touchdown back.
And Penguin talked about a lot, but the worst player for Florida in this game has been Lagway. He threw an awful pick earlier. Awful.
You've got to start wondering if he really is not the quarterback everyone thinks he's supposed to be. I know he's still young. But the way he throws the ball and some of his reads are frighteningly bad.
He threw a JV level pick. They ran switch smash, and the corner totally sunk underneath the corner route, and he just lobbed it to the defender.
Or a touchdown that he didn't throw last week when he had 2 open receivers. That was like watching DJ Ukulele blunder our season away last season against Boston College and Memphis. How badly he was missing throws.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, it's been real. Next Saturday, we'll probably do an afternoon, evening game day again. And then, Pat, you mentioned that we had a guest that maybe wanted to come on the show. Maybe we try to get him on the show next Saturday.
We do, and that way we can get him to talk a little more than he typed out. You know what I mean? 'Cause, we'll just get him here.
You think that he's going to compete with Ank for the longest talking guest on the show?
His answers will probably be a lot more fucking interesting.
Oh, dude.
Ouch.
Oh,
We're live. We're live.
Football.
Well, as always,
Oh,
guys,
boy.
it's been a lot of fun hanging out with you on a Saturday night. Man, I'm gonna go watch some college football and eat some brats.
Yeah, I have one thing really quick.
Yes, sir.
If anyone that's listening to this or missed out on that beer, bourbon, and Balsco on Thursday, seriously, give it.
Oh,
he was saying you should go listen to it.
absolutely, you should. Absolutely.
Yes, the Godfather, the founder, the founder of the feast was the guest. His
And
owner.
I say that as the new guy, right? Like, as the new
Mhm.
guy, I'll tell you, like, even if you're new, you definitely need to go watch it and just hear a lot of things that happen, man. I'm so intrigued now by the history of that, of all those things now after listening to that. So definitely go check that out.
Yep, you can check it
Yep.
out on Spotify. The NDL has a Spotify page. All the media shows get uploaded to Spotify as well.
It's uploaded to YouTube as well.
Yep, YouTube
Right.
is the best place to go to continue to watch videos because it stays on there, it's stored on there. The Twitch feeds, obviously we lose them after a week. So check them out. Wonderful shows. Jeff, Joker, and Mark did a great job interviewing. Corey was on there. VT Run and Gun was on there, and then obviously the founder of the NDL, Jeff Moe, was on there. Was a lot of fun. Tons of chat going on in the chat. Read the chat. It was really exciting. Lots of memories and stuff brought up with people that you kind of forget about over the course of 10, 15 years. Really cool, man.
Mhm.
We appreciate you guys tuning in on Saturday night. I don't know where Pat did. He just decided to leave. Nothing crazy happened in the USC game either. So
I think his dog kicked him off. That he must have needed to go out. That's what I think happened.
We'll see you guys later.
All right, see you guys.